Hello and welcome to a new Games That Weren't video, where today we're going to be looking at a really impressive sort of Wolfenstein stroke Doom clone, which is called Mood. And this was a game that was due for release around about 96-97, a couple of years after the 64 commercially sort of died a death. And it was a couple of years after the release of Doom, and Doom was a major milestone in gaming at the time. It was built massively on the original success of Wolfenstein, and added so many extra layers to the game, and created a lot of clone opportunities for different companies, especially on the Amiga. So there was clones of the game such as Death Mask, and also most famously Alien Breed 3D, which tried to kind of build on the success of Doom. And the 64 was getting in on the act as well, so a lot of demo crews at the time were trying to sort of do Wolfenstein Doom effects in their demos, and one particular demo that really stood out at the time was Mathematica by Reflex, and they featured two really impressive sort of Wolfenstein Doom effects, which were incredibly fast, but you couldn't actually play them. But then suddenly, from one of the fanzines at the time, I got the cover mount with it, and it had this game called Mood, which promised to be a really impressive Doom clone, and I was very sceptical because I thought there's no way they could possibly do anything like Doom on the 64, but I loaded it up and was presented with this preview pretty much, and I was just absolutely blown away. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. This was although technically it's more of a Wolfenstein clone, it doesn't have sort of up and down ladders like in the Doom game, in the actual original Doom. It's still impressive anyway to see something even just like Wolfenstein on a stock C64 with no memory expansions or super CPU. And we've even got the double-barreled shotgun there, and the ability of going through doors and different parts of a sort of fairly large map. And it's also quite colourful as well. The only sort of real problem with the game is that it's very, very blocky, but I don't think they could really get it at a much higher resolution and running at a decent speed, so you can kind of let that slide. So just going to play through it a little bit, and we've got one of the enemies here, so a guy with a shotgun who's shooting at us. So yeah, the issue mainly with the sort of really low resolution is that it's hard to sort of make out some of the characters, but it's not that bad. It could be a lot worse. We've got something else killing us as well. What's that? So we've got like a circular blob creature. Quite a few enemies down there. Okay. So I think that's all of them. So this is actually a later preview that was produced around about 1998. So there's a couple of previews in the archive that you can sort of download and check out for yourself. And this kind of features some improved sound effects, or the inclusion of sound effects, and the score panel at the bottom with the energy and the ammo sections on there. I think the map might be moving around slightly faster as well. They've done some sort of enhancements to the code. This also apparently, I think, runs at slightly higher speed on the C128, thanks to the 2 MHz mode that you can sort of access. So I've actually tried it myself. But yeah, the most impressive thing about this is the fact that it is running on the stock 64 without any sort of memory expansions or super CPU expansions or anything like that. There was in recent years an actual Doom conversion that was done, but it requires a super CPU and a RAM expansion. So although it is kind of impressive, it's not really the same to me. I find this far more impressive overall. Well, I think an actual Doom clone could be doable on the 64. I mean, especially when you consider that that there was an actual Doom conversion onto the VIC-20 that was ported from the source code. I mean, even though this is in a very small window with low colours, it played really well considering it's on a VIC-20. And the only thing you had was the standard RAM expansion. I think you just had to have a 32k RAM expansion to play it. It was incredibly impressive. So I think if you can do that on the VIC-20, then surely it must be possible to do something on the 64. And Mood is sort of evidence that it's possible to do something, at least on the platform. but no one's really attempted it, and unfortunately Move has kind of stalled over the years. I've heard sort of rumours that No Name Move would come back and try and finish it, and they even had a website up for a little while with additional screenshots of the game showing like a Christmas theme, but it's kind of never really gone anywhere at all, so it seems to have been abandoned, unfortunately. I think they had talk of even sort of releasing this with a map editor as well, so you can make your own maps, which would have been really impressive. And it might have been cool to see if it was possible to link up two 64s and play over a network. That would have been very cool. So yeah, there we have it. I'm going to see if I can find a bit more on the map. So that's pretty much it. All for this demo. Again, this is on the Games That Weren't archived, so if you want to kind of check it out yourself, please do. And sort of have an experience of it. It's just have to kind of see beyond the blocky visuals, and once you do, then you can sort of appreciate for what it is. And although it's not really a Doom clone as such, it's still a very impressive Wolfenstein clone overall. So there we go. That's the end of this video. So please feel free to leave any comments, and I hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you soon in the next one.